A young girl dashed into the misty alley, her tiny feet splashing through puddles under the flickering streetlights. 5 figures in sharp attire paused their hushed discussion, turning as her plea cut through the damp air. "Help, they're hurting my mom." Alessandro Rossi pivoted, his inked arm glinting in the dim glow from a nearby sign. The kid was drenched, shivering, holding a plush bear tight. "Who's doing this to your mom, kiddo?" His tone was steady, the sort that hid a brewing tempest. "Jake," she choked out amid tears. "My mom's guy and his buddies. They keep going. There's red everywhere." The men behind Alessandro tensed, fingers inching toward hidden tools. Their leader lifted a hand. "Hold." He crouched on the slick ground, meeting her gaze. Rain trickled from his styled hair. "Where?" She pointed a quivering finger down the lane. "The building at the end, second level, the entrance with the loose handle." Even now, faint cries echoed, a smash of something fragile, a feminine voice begging in English. "Your name?" Alessandro asked, his palm lightly on her arm. "Emma," she murmured, staring at the formidable man with a serpent design winding up his forearm. "I'm 5. Alessandro rose, his coat shifting. He glanced at his second and uttered 2 phrases in Italian. The group shifted like phantoms, grabbing devices, verifying gear. He turned back to Emma, a flicker in his sharp eyes, something dormant awakening. "You're tough, Emma." He shrugged off his coat, wrapping it around her. "Stick with Mr. Vito. We're fixing this for your mom." The serpent's strike had ignited. Before diving deeper, if tales like this stir your heart as they do mine, hit that subscribe button. It keeps these narratives flowing and shows you crave more. They glided through the downpour like vapors. Quiet save for the beat of shoes on damp stone. Alessandro led, expression firm, arms relaxed, a hunter's ease. Trailing him, for silhouettes equipped and determined. The structure reeked of wear and oversight. Dim bulbs, marked surfaces. Second floor, west side. The portal sagged on weak joints, illumination spilling out. Within, debris scattered. A male chuckled. A lady wailed. Alessandro didn't announce. The barrier burst in with 1 boot. 5 surged into disorder. Flipped chairs. Stains on the partitions. Fine dust across a split surface. For males loomed over a female huddled low, her features puffed past knowing. Light locks tangled with crimson. Jake whirled first, gaze frantic with frenzy and fury. "Who are you?" He didn't conclude. Alessandro's strike met his chin, a thud like a club on flesh. Jake reeled, slamming into the barrier. The rest advanced to metal. Bad choice. Alessandro's crew was precise, fierce, skilled. One of Jake's pals folded from a strike to the midsection. Another dropped as a tool smacked his crown. The third attempted a blade. It landed with some enamel before he reacted. But Jake was swift. Panicked, he navigated the mess, seized a container, flung it at the closest, and leaped through the rear pane in a burst of shards. "Pursue." Alessandro snapped in Italian. Too chaste. Yet the metal ladder creaked as Jake's steps vanished into the gloom. Escaped temporarily. Alessandro faced the lady. Her inhales were shallow, each wheeze damp and uneven. Fractured bones, perhaps graver. He bent near her, oddly tender for palms that had just delivered force. "Kristie," he murmured. "Emma sent us." Her puffy lids parted. She attempted words, but only a faint cry emerged. "Fetch the vehicle," Alessandro commanded. "Medical center now. Clear path. No authorities." His second paused. "Sir, this exposure." "I said now." The team acted fast, securing Jake's moaning associates, erasing traces, gathering remnants. Experts tidying a site with alarming accuracy. Alessandro hoisted Kristie cautiously, holding her injured form like delicate crystal. Crimson seeped into his light top. Irrelevant. As they transported her down, he recalled Emma's expression in that lane. 5 years, soaked, scared, yet bold enough to seek aid in. The shadows. Jake had fled this evening. A error he'd commit once. If you're engaged, thanks. And remember to subscribe to catch every continuation of sagas like this. The dark car sliced through wet roads. No alarms, no beams. In the rear, Kristie's strained breaths the sole noise. Alessandro maintained compression on her side with a bundled garment, observing her ashen visage for fading signs. "Mercy, General," he stated. "Secluded area. Dr. Lena is aware." The operator affirmed. All were indebted to the serpent's strike somehow. Back at the site, the removal squad operated with exactness. Used items vanished into sacks. Marks cleansed with solution. Jake's pals loaded into a transport, bound, headed for a storage questioning that would reveal Jake's spots. Or all his connections. The locals noticed zilch. They seldom did in such places. When the car arrived at Mercy General's hidden entry, Dr. Lena awaited with a stretcher and aides who probed nothing. Kristie was rushed through clean halls, leaving Alessandro in the bright shine, crimson hardening on his attire. His second, Vito, neared with a device. "Sir, the child, she's with Vito still?" "Yes." In the ride nearby, inquiring about her parent. Alessandro's features tightened. He managed organizations, dishonest officials, competing groups. A 5-year-old's worry was oddly tougher. "Bring her. Avoid the main area." And Vito, he pivoted, gaze level and chill. Emma guarded. "Officially, no placement, no agencies. She remains with us till her mom heals." Vito hesitated. "Sir, that demands." "Aware. Contact Judge Hale. Recall the campaign funds. Recall the images. Secure urgent interim care documents by dawn. Employ any title required. The attorney Reyes. She's flexible enough to handle it. Clever enough to polish it." Alessandro eyed the passage where they'd taken Kristie. "Have her build a record portraying me as a kin associate. Invent needed background. Emma Thompson stays out of the network." "Clear." "Yes, sir." And Vito. "Locate Jake." Indifferent to the toll. "Find him." The second inclined and vanished, dialing. Alessandro lingered solo in the corridor, a figure who directed domains on dread and funds. Now, scheming to act as interim protector to a young girl who disrupted his gathering with a request for aid. His device hummed. An image from Vito. Emma dozing in the vehicle, enveloped in Alessandro's coat, grasping her bear. An odd sensation bloomed in his core. Not full renewal. Not immediately, but maybe the start. Pause, and if unsubscribed, do it now. It sustains these tales. The high-rise suite spanned the upper levels of the summit spire. Crystal, metal, and wealth towering over the urban grime. Emma positioned at the threshold, diminutive and mismatched, in her marked pink layer, bare in grip. Alessandro observed her absorb it. Vast panes surveying the sparkling horizon, stone grounds shining like reflections, contemporary pieces valued beyond most lifetimes. All crisp lines and cool exteriors. A stronghold, not a residence. "You'll occupy the spare space," he uttered, tone milder than planned. "Upper level. Attached washroom." Emma nodded quietly, eyes broad. He'd dispatched an associate for youth garments, playthings, volumes, items foreign to him. They rested in carriers by the fabric seat, labels intact. He motioned awkwardly. "For you." She neared the carriers, gradual, extracted a sketch pad and markers. Her digits followed the front. A park view with birds and blooms. Unlike her recent reality. "When for Mom?" Her voice tiny. "Soon. She requires recovery. Healers assisting." Emma settled on the ground, unfolded the pad, started illustrating. Alessandro stood unsure. He could bargain vast transactions unflinching, direct a person's and with a call. But this youth, legs crossed on his costly mat, immobilized him. He withdrew to his study, initiated contacts, reviewed updates on Jake's location. Nil yet. The individual evaporated like mist. Temporary. Time elapsed. Then more. Upon return to the main area, Emma slumbered on the seat. The pad open. Beside, she'd created an image, basic marker art, youthful style. A high figure with dark locks beside a small girl. Linked palms. Overhead, a bright circle and terms, grateful, in uneven script. Alessandro lifted the sheet delicately, fearing fragility. He'd commanded removals, ruined existences, erected a realm on alarm and force. Tainted with marks eternal. Yet this kid, appreciating with markers and basic forms, viewing potential in him absent. The weight of her purity compressed his being like mass. He transported Emma to the spare, covered her without stirring, bare close. At the entry, he halted, glancing at the petite shape under fine linens. Below, his device activated. Vito. Discovered Jake's relative. He's sharing. Alessandro's look solidified. He sealed Emma's portal softly and descended to his domain. If this segment resonated, press subscribe. Much awaits. 3 days pursuit produced only cul-de-sacs and conclusions. Jake's relative shared prior to silence, but data useless. Hideouts vacated. Links denying knowledge. Jake mastered evasion. But panic breeds folly. The alert arrived at 3:12 a.m. Dr. Lena, tone edged with alarm. Mr. Rossi, issue arose. Alessandro mobilized, donning his layer. What issue? Kristie Thompson. Removed from her space 15 minutes past. Located our guard in the steps. Surviving, but marginal. Wound to arm. Impact to skull. The device strained in Alessandro's hold. Recordings. 4 individuals. Covers. Knew the setup. Dodged views. Capable. Lena stopped. Left an item in her area. Alessandro was en route before end. Vito operating. Additional rides tailing. The metropolis smeared by, moisture streaking glass like sorrow. Mercy General's secluded area was managed turmoil on arrival. Aides lingering, protection hurrying. Officials querying responses met with fabricated truths. Alessandro navigated like Spectre, direct to Kristie's space. Bed vacant, covers tangled and marked from extraction. On the surface above, inscribed in her essence, 5 terms in rough script. You claimed mine. I claim yours. Under, a snapshot affixed. Kristie, unaware, secured in apparent lower level. Vital lure. Vito materialized at side. Sir, guard awake. States 4, not 3. Jake present. Viewed his features before. Track him. Alessandro's tone frost. Each source, each traitor, each informer in this metropolis. Track him. Cost irrelevant. Authorities. They'll uncover 0. Erase it. Everything. He faced Vito, something dire in his gaze. Jake sought conflict. He'll receive obliteration. At the high-rise, Emma rested, oblivious her mom stolen from protected medical space. Alessandro positioned in his study surveying the metropolis, palms against pane. Observing light emerge over the outline. He'd undervalued Jake, viewed him as typical traitor, a fearful who'd flee at true threat. But injured creatures most perilous. Trapped individuals riskless. His device illuminated. Message from unknown, location, and 3 terms. Arrive solo, she perishes. Alessandro grinned. Unpleasant. Jake's final error. The metropolis sensed the serpent's strike pursuing. Within moments of the message, Alessandro's web exploded into action like disturbed colony. Each corner, each dim lounge, each storage and hidden deal, all his. Calls in night. Portals forced. Funds exchanged. When funds insufficient, dread sufficed. In a lower level distant, Luca bent over screens, digits racing, road views, cash machine watches, personal guards feeds. Breached all, reversing, following rides, visages, patterns. Each electronic view now his order. Found item, Luca stated, eyes fixed. Light truck, false tags. Captured on store view near medical, south to factory zone. Alessandro leaned, committing image. Timing, 32 minutes post-removal. Distribute to all. Flip that zone completely. The directive spread outward in hazy bet spots at harbors and overnight eateries where packs formed. The message disseminated. The headhunts. Prove allegiance or hope forgotten. Road sellers left mid-deal. Sources emerged from hiding. Eager for value. Competing ops silenced, avoiding notice during Serpent's prowl. Vito orchestrated from command space. Alessandro's study altered to strategy hub. Charts on table, devices constant, reports with bits. A repairer who'd seen truck. A wanderer recalling accents near former mill. A worker who'd aided Jake's group last period at lodging near ports. Fragment by fragment, image formed. Sir, Vito uttered, device to chest. 3 potentials. Deserted mill on Dock 32. Ruined housing on Lakeside. Aged plan on. All. Alessandro's voice sharp. Groups on each concurrent. No links post position. No alert to Jake from Watcher. He equipped his holder, inspected tool with habit ease. The fury simmering since medical now chilled, directed. Not emotion. Computation. Precision cut. Officials. Query from 1. Alessandro ignored. Chief Ellis compensated to probe a storage blaze opposite tonight. For hours till response needed. The team functioned like mechanism. Decades of illicit skill and instance. Rides filled, tools allocated, paths set. Alessandro at pain final time, observing sprawl. Somewhere, Jake awaited with Kristie, setting snare, believing cornered serpent. Unaware he'd roused the beast. The mill on Dock 32, crouched by water like decayed form. Openings broken, barriers marred with corrosion and years' neglect. Scent of salt and rot dense. Ideal concealment. Ideal end. Alessandro neared from south with Vito and Trio, shifting through shades from yellow lamps. Additional groups encircled east and north. No warnings, no support, merely serpent's strike and calculus of force. A sentinel ended quietly near entry platform. Vito's edge to neck pre-breath. Pulled behind container, proceeded. Primary access ajar. Rusted links severed recent. New prints in dirt. Inside, mill extended to dark, belts halted. Huge containers eroded, tilting. Walkways overhead like steel nets. Center, under lone bulb, Kristie bound to seat. Visage swollen, dried marks on skin, but aware, fearful. Jake behind, grip on her strands, tool to side head. Trio beside, tools out, gazes to each shade. Expected you. Jake's echo in void, frenzy bright, unraveling. Mighty Alessandro, too foreseeable, too arrogant. Alessandro entered light, arms free. Behind, team appeared from gloom like spirits, tools aimed. Above walks, crimson points on Jake's group. Release her, Alessandro said. No rage. Assurance. Or. Jake cackled elevated, unstable. Pressed tool firmer to Kristie's head. She gasped. And me? Already finished. You ensured when invaded my spot. When shamed me. You harmed a lady. My lady? My affair. Droplets from Jake's lips. Superior? Your offender, leader. Ended more than I've known. Accurate. Alessandro advanced. But no harm to ladies. No fright to youth. No survivors. Shot from high. Soft exhale. Projectile near Jake's ear. Heat felt. His left associate fell. Crimson where head was. Turmoil exploded. Jake's duo sought shelter. Shots erratic. Vito flowed. 3 blasts. Torso, crown. Both down pre-ground. Jake aimed at Alessandro, hand unsteady. Shot stray, ricochet beam. Alessandro bridged in strides. Seized Jake's arm. Twisted, snapped like wood. Tool skidded. Jake yelled. Swung other. Frantic, poor. Alessandro seized, broke same. Jake fell, holding ruined limbs, weeping. Please regret. Should have continued fleeing. Alessandro bent, tone gentle as end. Should have vanished. But returned for payback. For ego. Rose, signaled Vito. Neat. Eternal. No remains. Vito advanced. Jake's cries ceased sudden with one blast. Alessandro moved to Kristie, severing ties, supporting as she fell into embrace. Emma, she breathed through split lips. Secure, he vowed. Both secure. The quiet post-tempest total, interrupted by steady drone of dark car and far-muted alerts Alessandro's team rerouted. Jake's ultimate mistake rectified with harsh skill, no observers, no proof, final void in urban minor illicit setup. The location message to Alessandro's device was decaying storage, simple ambush for less ready. Entered solo as. Asked, but shadows, Vito and serpent strike, his essence, motions unseen, presence dominant. Kristie retrieved from lower, pale, scarcely aware, but vital, secure signs fading. Alessandro bore her out personally, weighty, mute vow no touch to her, or Emma again. Now official tidy started. Judge Hale, recalled favors and damaging shots, acted instant, No query. Attorney Reyes, keen and ethically bendable, crafted deep, persuasive record. Alessandro lifelong subtle kin link, providing haven to girl and mom in crisis. Officials, discovering only result of clash between competing traders and zero ties to serpent strike, swiftly shut file. The setup, tainted by Alessandro's riches and sway, became barrier shielding the duo in high rise. Emma awoke to clean light covers of spare space, barren hold. Unaware safety's price. Alessandro observed from entry, tiny, pure ruler in his chill, shining domain. Kristie, recovering in Mercy General's secluded area under Dr. Lena's watchful, equally safe, no more prey, but prized part of his complex, guarded realm. The obligation settled. The serpent's strike awakened not for force, but safeguard, and wouldn't slumber. The clean light passages of Mercy General's secluded area became Kristie's haven, a spot where serpent strike's power offered unbreakable guard against outside. Under Dr. Lena's quiet tending, mended sides, faded marks, and dread and gaze started to wane. Alessandro avoided her space, but influence complete. Sent Vito with directions, blooms, and Emma updates, assuring she grasped protections lasting. Kristie, lady who'd endured trying to endure flawed setup, saw irony. Most hazardous man encountered offered sole, true security. Weeks flowed. Official documents done. Flawless creation by attorney Reyes, solidifying Alessandro as kin associate who intervened. He set their move distant from Metropolis. Calm outer area where breeze fresh and locals unquestioning. New dwelling. Not stronghold like high-rise, but cozy, simple home with yard where Emma could sketch birds that real. Fresh identities, documents, and fund overseen by Vito, guaranteeing stability undreamed. The departure day. Alessandro encountered at medical's secluded entry. Kristie taller, in fresh attire, matted replaced by steady determination. She gave silent, deep incline of thanks, sole repayment he'd take. Then Emma, 6 now, advanced from 5. Walked to formidable man in fitted attire, bare eternal. No terror, just youth bidding farewell to savior. Dropped bare, arms tight around legs. Alessandro stiffened, surprised by pure hug strength. Bent, palm light on shoulder. Same motion from Misty Lane. Strong Emma, he said, tone deep vibration. Fresh beginning. Emma gazed at man with winding serpent ink. Man directing domains, grinned. Thanks, Uncle Alex, she breathed. New title for guardian bearing her purity's load. Retrieved bear, toward mom. From shadows to light. Alessandro watched dark card apart, left solo and bright. Man altered by marker image and 5-year-old's request. Time melted to quiet, protected pattern. Outer dwelling, serene and plain. Core of safety op advanced than any group shield. Alessandro absent, but shade, constant web of serpent strike, unseen layer around lives. Vito link, handling funds, assuring guard details smooth, managing rare brief call from Alessandro, who sought too. Safe. Happy. Responses positive. Kristie flourished, simple work, part-time learning. No trauma defined, but possibility. Emma developed. Shed uneven script and basic forms of 5-year art, replaced with bold, lively images filling new dwelling with vitality and hue. Bright learner, charming youth, proof of secure, steady world Alessandro secured. New Uncle Alex distant, strong ally aiding mom. Wrote notes, sometimes on learned tasks or celebrations Vito, delivered to high-rise. In quiet crystal and metal vast of summit spire, Alessandro stayed cold, focused peak of domain. Groups feared, officials complied, competing groups cautious under serpent strike. Expanded control, riches, worldwide grasp. Yet, winds bland. Control means not goal. One night, solo and study, surveying glittering subdued metropolis, Alessandro opened mahogany table compartment. Within, under packs vast and files human flaws, single page. Worn now, marked perhaps dried moisture or aged drink. Basic marker creation. High dark-locked figure palm-linked with small girl under bright circle. Below, uneven hopeful terms. Grateful, traced uneven with digit, built existence on dread and force, essence marked eternal. Yet simple creation, Purity Act gave new impossible task. Purity's load held domain, purpose firmer than control, holier than pact. Not fully renewed, but tied. Replaced image, sealed compartment. But this evening, something shifted. The letters from Emma, stacked neatly beside, spoke of school triumphs and dreams. And in them, mentions of her mom, Kristie, grateful, wondering about the man who changed everything. Alessandro's thoughts lingered on Kristie more often now. Her strength, invulnerability, the way her eyes had met his in that brief hospital nod, sparking a chemistry he'd ignored amid chaos. Possessive instincts, once reserved for his empire, now extended to her, a fierce need to claim her safety as his own. He dialed Vito. Update on Kristie. She's well, sir. Settled. But she asks about you sometimes. A pause. Perhaps a visit? Alessandro hesitated. The hero she'd seen in him, the protector, pulled him toward her. Romance wasn't in his world, but the pull was undeniable. Arrange it. Discreetly. The suburban home glowed warmly under evening lights, a contrast to the city's cold spires. Kristie opened the door, surprise softening her features. Alessandro. Her voice held a warmth that ignited something in him. Emma bounded in, hugging his leg again. Uncle Alex. He smiled, genuine, kneeling to her level. But his eyes locked on Kristie, possessive fire kindling. I couldn't stay away. They talked late into the night, Emma asleep upstairs. Chemistry crackled, her laughter at his rare jokes, his hand brushing hers, sending sparks. You saved us, she whispered. But why me? Why now? Because you're mine to protect, he admitted, voice low, pulling her close. Possessiveness wrapped in tenderness. Their lips met, a kiss born of gratitude turning to passion. He was her hero, but now, her love. Weeks turned to months, the romance blooming in secret visits. Alessandro balanced his empire with stolen moments, his protectiveness fierce, guards invisible but ever-present. Twists came, a rival group sniffing old trails, forcing him to eliminate threats with calculated strikes, always shielding Kristie and Emma. Conflicts arose, her fear of his world clashing with his need to keep her close. But chemistry won, possessiveness turning to partnership. One night, under stars in her garden, he knelt. Marry me. Let me protect you forever. Tears in her eyes, she nodded. Yes. The wedding was quiet, his empire's shadows ensuring safety. Emma danced, calling him dad now. Alessandro, changed, found redemption in their love. The serpent strike guarded a family, not just an empire. If this tale of protection and romance moved you, subscribe for more. Months turned into a quiet rhythm in the suburban haven Alessandro had crafted for them. The house, with its white picket fence and blooming flower beds, stood as a stark contrast to the shadowed world he ruled from afar. Kristie adapted beautifully, her days filled with part-time work at a local bookstore, evening classes in literature, and moments of laughter with Emma in the backyard. She had transformed from the broken woman on that apartment floor into someone radiant, her blonde hair catching sunlight as she tended the garden, her blue eyes sparkling with a newfound peace. Yet, in quiet moments, her thoughts drifted to him. Alessandro Rossi, the man who had stormed into her nightmare and pulled her out. The one whose dark gaze had lingered on her in the hospital, whose gentle hands had carried her to safety. She remembered the spark when their eyes met during that brief nod of gratitude. It wasn't just protection. There was an undeniable pull, a chemistry that simmered beneath the surface. Alessandro visited more frequently now, always under the cover of dusk or early morning, his sleek black car pulling into the driveway discreetly. Vito ensured the perimeter was secure, invisible guards blending into the neighborhood. At first, the visits were for Emma, story time, teaching her simple card games, watching her eyes light up as Uncle Alex brought small gifts, a new sketchbook, colored pencils that shimmered like jewels. But soon, the evenings stretched longer. Emma would drift to sleep upstairs, her bear tucked under her arm, and Kristie and Alessandro would sit on the porch swing, the air filled with the scent of jasmine she had planted. Conversation flowed easily, her sharing stories of her day, him listening intently, his rare smiles drawing her in deeper. "You don't have to keep checking on us," Kristie said one night, her hand resting near his on the swing's armrest. The moon cast a soft glow on his sharp features, the serpent tattoo peeking from his collar. "I do," he replied, his voice low and intense. His fingers brushed hers, sending a shiver through her. "You're under my protection. Always." It was more than duty. She felt it in the way his eyes darkened when she laughed, the possessive way he watched her move around the kitchen, preparing tea. He was a man who commanded fear in the underworld, yet with her, there was tenderness, a fierce need to shield her from any harm. One rainy evening, as thunder rumbled distantly, Alessandro arrived soaked despite the short dash from his car. Kristie met him at the door, towel in hand, drying his hair with gentle strokes. Their proximity ignited something electric. His hand cupped her cheek, thumb tracing her lip. "Kristie," he murmured, voice rough with restraint. "I can't stay away. You consume my thoughts." Her breath caught. "Then don't," she whispered, leaning in. Their first kiss was fire, passionate, claiming. His arms wrapped around her possessively, pulling her close as if afraid she'd vanish. She melted into him, hands tangling in his damp hair, feeling the strength that had saved her, now devoted to cherishing her. It was romance born from chaos, chemistry that had built in stolen glances and unspoken promises. From that night, their connection deepened. Alessandro's visits became overnight stays, his empire managed through encrypted calls while he held her in the quiet hours. He was possessive in the most intoxicating way, jealous of even the wind that tousled her hair, yet protective like a fortress. "No one will ever hurt you again," he'd vow, lips against her skin. "You're mine." Kristie thrived in his love. She saw the man beneath the power, the one softened by Emma's hugs, stirred by her touch. He was her hero, the one who had rewritten her fate. But shadows loomed. Whispers reached Alessandro's network, remnants of Jake's old circle, bitter and vengeful, sniffing around old connections. A rival syndicate, sensing weakness in his divided attention, tested boundaries. One crisp autumn day, as leaves swirled in the wind, trouble struck. Kristie and Emma were at the local park, Emma swinging high, laughter echoing. Kristie sat on a bench, sketching the scene, when a man approached, familiar in a chilling way, one of Jake's forgotten associates, eyes narrowed with malice. "You're supposed to be gone," he snarled under his breath. Jake's girl, living fancy now? Fear gripped her, but she stood tall. "Leave. Now." He reached for her arm, but before contact, shadows moved. Vito's team, ever present but unseen, intervened swiftly. The man was subdued quietly, bundled away before Emma noticed. That evening, Alessandro arrived like a storm, rage barely contained. He pulled Kristie into his arms the moment the door closed, holding her tight. "Who was he?" she asked, though she knew. "Doesn't matter. He's handled." His voice was steel, but his touch gentle, checking her for any mark. "I should have ended them all sooner." "No," she cupped his face. "You gave us peace. Don't lose yourself." Their embrace turned heated, his possessiveness pouring into kisses that left her breathless. "I can't risk you," he growled against her neck. "Move to the city. Closer to me." She hesitated, fearing his world, but the pull was too strong. "For us," she agreed. The transition was seamless, his influence smoothing paths. They moved into a secure wing of the summit spire, luxurious yet warm with her touches. Emma's drawings on walls, flowers in vases. Romance flourished in the heights, nights on the balcony, city lights below, his arms around her waist. "Marry me," he proposed one starlit evening, ring gleaming, a symbol of his commitment. "Let me protect you, love you, forever." Tears of joy streamed as she said yes. The wedding was intimate, Emma as flower girl, Vito witnessing. Vows exchanged under a canopy of lights, his eyes never leaving hers. Yet conflict brewed. A major rival, envious of Alessandro's expanding reach, orchestrated an ambush on a shipment. Alessandro led the counter, his men efficient, but he returned with a graze. Nothing serious, but enough to terrify Kristie. "You promised safety," she confronted, bandaging him, voice trembling. "I promised you everything," he replied, pulling her onto his lap. "This world, it's mine to control. For you." Their argument melted into passion, chemistry overriding fear. He was her hero, flaws and all. Twists continued, an old ally betrayed, leaking info for gain. Alessandro uncovered it ruthlessly, but spared the man's family at Kristie's plea, her influence softening his edges. Emma grew, calling him dad, their family a beacon in his dark realm. Romance deepened. Anniversaries celebrated privately, his possessiveness endearing. Surprise getaways, jewels that paled against her smile. One challenge tested them most. A powerful figure from his past, a woman once close, resurfaced, jealous of Kristie. She manipulated rumors, trying to sow doubt. Kristie confronted Alessandro. "Is there truth?" "None," he swore, vulnerability rare. "Only you. Always you." He dealt with the threat decisively, protecting their bond. Trust rebuilt in tender nights, his arms her sanctuary. Years on, balance found. Alessandro delegated more, spending time with his family. Empire strong, but heart fuller. Emma, now 10, excelled in art, her paintings vibrant. Kristie published a book, inspired by resilience. Alessandro, the serpent no longer striking blindly, guarded his treasures. In quiet moments, he'd hold the old marker drawing Emma made long ago, now framed beside their wedding photo. The tall man and small girl, now expanded to include Kristie. He wasn't fully redeemed, scars remained. But in their love, he found purpose. Protection eternal, romance enduring. The serpent strike had claimed a heart, and in return, found home. If stories of fierce love and unbreakable bonds touch your soul, subscribe now. More epic tales await.